folks. Welcome back to the day 3 of AZ900 Bootcamp, and this is Varun Bansal. And today we have with us our speaker, Saurav Kundu sir, who is, I hope he's one of the experts in this Azure, and he's going to be the perfect person to make you explain. Let me introduce him to you once again. He's 6x Microsoft Certified and also Microsoft Certified Azure Data Scientist, as well as a multi-phase personality who has done some pretty amazing stuff in this cloud atmosphere. So, without any delay, let's start with the session. So, I would request Sir to please come and continue and complete this boot camp.
Yeah, hi everyone. So let's start today's session. Okay, so for day three, we will be starting first with Azure Firewall. So just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so as you know that we all have firewalls, right, in our machines. So what is its functionality? So it actually monitors the incoming and outgoing network traffic and decides whether to allow or block specific traffic based on a defined set of security rules. So there are few security rules defined. So based on that, the firewall will be blocking the traffic or will be allowing the traffic. So each of our machine has a firewall. So what is Azure Firewall? So Azure Firewall is nothing but it is a managed and cloud-based network security service that helps protect resources in your Azure virtual network. So Azure Firewall will be protecting the resources in Azure virtual networks. Okay, and it is a stateful firewall. A stateful firewall means that it will analyze the complete context of the network connection, not an individual packet of the network traffic. So it will be monitoring each and everything, whatever is coming into our machine. In case of normal firewall and in case of Azure Firewall, it will manage all the Azure virtual networks. So let me go to the portal once again. So this is the home page, and I have already created one firewall. So you can search here also in as a firewall. You will be getting this. You can create firewall from here. So these are the details you need to provide: the subnet, virtual network with which the firewall will be associated, those things. So I have created already one firewall here. So this firewall has different you can see settings here. So where this firewall will be used? Okay, so we have a VM, right? We have a VM here. Let me go to virtual machine. Let me go to virtual machine inside. Let me go to networking. Then let me go to virtual network. So from this you can mention the firewall for this virtual machine and click here to add a new firewall. So I have already created one firewall for you for this demo purpose. So after creating, this screen will be coming up. Okay, so this screen has different details. You can see that what is the firewall private IP, what is the public IP, which is the virtual network associated with it, what is the firewall policy, those things. It is already in this home page itself. And there are different settings such as public IP configuration. There is one public IP configuration is there. This is the public IP address for this firewall. There is a firewall manager. So what does firewall manager does? This is the screen it will be coming up when the firewall manager will be there. So you can mention different Azure firewall policies from here. So different policies you can mention from here. So end to end everything you can mention from within this firewall only, and where it will be used within that virtual network, within that virtual machine. Okay, so from here you can go to this network and can mention the firewall with the different policies as whatever you required for your means requirement. So now another thing is that let me go to the screen. So that was Azure Firewall. So there is one again, DDoS protection. So what is DDoS? So it's a distributed denial of service attack. So what does it means distributed denial of service attack. What does it? Attempts to exhaust an application's resources, making the application slow or unresponsive to the legitimate users. So suppose at times it happens, right, that you are using something and the application is too much slow, that it might be a case that some attack is there which is trying to exhaust your application's resources, means memory or compute. It is using it is trying to exhaust those things. So although you are a legitimate user, you are not getting that much enough memory or CPU for your regular work. Okay, so DDoS attack can target any resource that is publicly reachable through the internet, including websites. Okay, so it can target anything, means internet, websites, anything through this DDoS attack. So Azure DDoS protection helps protect your Azure resources from DDoS attacks. So there is one Azure DDoS protection. There are different plans. So it will help you to protect the Azure resources from the DDoS attacks. The DDoS protection service helps protect your Azure applications by analyzing and discarding the DDoS traffic at the Azure network edge before it can affect your service availability. So before it can affect your service availability, the DDoS protection service will help you to actually protect from this type of traffic. So it will be identifying the attacker's attempt to overwhelm the network and block further traffic from them. But the normal traffic will be continuing to flow. So there should not be any issue. So legitimate traffic from customers still flows into Azure without any interruption of services. So let us move into the portal again. So here, if you go DDoS protection plans, you can find, you can create from here as well. So you can mention the details, but I've already created one for this demo purpose. So here different things are there. You can mention what are the resources to protect. You can add here this virtual network. You can mention whatever the virtual network you need to protect here. Different properties are also there. You can just go through them on your own. So this is the DDoS protection plan, what type of plan you will be taking. So where you will be mentioning it, again it will be within this virtual network DDoS protection plan. So if you are enabling it, you will be required to choose a plan from here. If I choose the plan here, you will be getting the protection as per the DDoS protection plan. So these two things you can assign from the virtual network, which is assigned with the virtual machine. So these two are two protection options: firewall, DDoS protection. So here you can see it's a picture from Microsoft site again. So here it is protecting from the attacker these applications, whatever is there in your Azure portal. So application gateway, load balancer, VPN gateway, it is protecting everything within this virtual network using that DDoS plan which you have selected here. Okay. So now coming its network security groups. So there was Azure firewall, there was Azure DDoS protection. So what is this network security group? So firewall and DDoS protection can help control what traffic can come from outside sources. So any traffic which is coming from outside sources, these two can handle. So network security group will be filtering on network traffic to and from Azure resources within an Azure virtual network. So within an Azure virtual network, it will come into play. Okay. So you can think of NSGs like an internal firewall. So doing so, there will be an extra layer of defense against some attacks if there is an internal firewall as well. So there will be multiple inbound and outbound security rules that will be filtering traffic based on your source and destination IP address, port, and protocol. So whenever you will be creating a network security group, it will be already creating a set of default rules, but you can also means create rules on your own as well. So if we go to this virtual machine, let me go to virtual machine. And if you go to networking, you can see that there are already some rules being created. Okay, these are the rules: inbound port rules, outbound port rules. There are different types of rules already created here. So if you want to create some additional rules, so you can just add here. You can mention the source, whatever source you want to use. The source port ranges star means all, and service, whatever type of HTTP, HTTPS, SSH, RDP, whatever you need, you can specify from here, and you can give the priority. This priority is important. So what is priority? Rules are processed in priority orders. The lower the number, the higher the priority. So if you have something in priority, you need to give a lower number compared to others. Okay. So and you can give the port name as well. So at times when you are creating some other types of machines, instead of means Windows machine, you will not get this RDP here. Instead of that, you will be getting something else. So if somehow you want to connect in some machines using RDP, so you need to go and add here. Okay, using this service, you will be selecting RDP here. So automatically some other values will be selected as well. So from here you can select different rules. Similarly for outbound port rules as well, you can add an outbound security rule from here as well. So these are part of network security groups. So if I search here, I will also get an option to create directly from here. You can also go into this network security group directly here and can also add some rules from here as well. Okay, you can add here for outbound security rules. You can also add here different types of rules. So you can add from here as well. You can add from here as well, from the virtual machine also, which will be specific to that virtual machine. So it's the thing, it will be providing an extra internal layer of firewall. So this, so three is gone: Azure firewall, Azure DDoS protection, and network security group. So if you understand the differences between these three, so if there are some questions comes up that this is the scenario, which is the best option. Suppose you need to maintain an internal firewall, so you can select NSG that time. Okay, so now the describe identity governance, privacy and compliance features, which is 15 to 20%. Let me move Azure identity services. First of all, let me close few of the tabs. Okay, so first of all, we need to understand that what is the difference between authentication versus authorization. A very good picture is there, you can see from Microsoft side again. So authentication is something that will be checking your identity as a person, means you are the person who should get to enter into the system. No one else is trying to entering the system, it's you only. So authentication is the process of establishing the identity of a person or service that wants to access a resource. It establishes whether the user is who they say they are. Okay, and authorization is the applications which are inside your Azure, so whether you have access to them or not. Okay, so authorization is the process of establishing what level of access an authenticated person or service has. It specifies what data they are allowed to access and what they cannot do with it. Okay, so this difference you should understand. So there might be a question coming up that a person is trying to identify, so what is that, authentication or authorization? So you can understand from this difference. So next is Azure Active Directory. So Azure Active Directory, it's an identity service that enables the user to sign in and access both Microsoft cloud applications and cloud applications that you develop. So if you go to the portal and search Azure Active Directory, will be getting one. So this is the one Azure Active Directory for this subscription, and you can see different users are there who are included in this Active Directory. So for me it is disabled. So here you can understand that I am not authorized this time to create a new user, but I am authorized to create a new guest user. So guest user, what does it, can invite an user but cannot create an user. So you can understand that I am not authorized, means this part, I am not authorized to create an user. So that is the difference between authentication and authorization. I am authenticated to enter this system because I am using those credentials, but I am not authorized to create an user from here. Okay, so there are different users within this Azure Active Directory. So if you have permissions, you can add new user, guest users, those things. So Azure Active Directory will be maintaining all these users inside it. Okay, so what is the benefit? So it helps users access both external and internal resources. External resources can be Office 365 portal or any SaaS applications. Internal services can be any corporate network or internet as such, like that. And it also provides a single sign on, means once you enter into one application by signing through your credentials, as you are in the Active Directory itself, so you are not required to provide any further passwords as long as you are using the other applications on which you already have the access. So SSO enables you to remember only one username and one password to access multiple applications. A single identity is tied to a user, which simplifies the security model. As users change roles or leave an organization, access modifications are tied to that identity, which generally reduces the effort needed to change or disable the account. So suppose you have one entry within Azure Active Directory, and you are given some accesses, some Azure services you are given to access. So when you are leaving the organization, your name is just removed from that Active Directory. So nothing else needs to be done to automatically you will lose those accesses from those services. So there are few extra security layers. Multi-factor authentication. So when you will be adding one user, you will be getting that option. I do not have authorized to create a user, otherwise I could have just given a demo on that. So I'm just given the details here. So multi-factor authentication, you already know, you already use it in many places. So it's an additional form of identification, such as you will be receiving a code in your cell phone or a fingerprint scan. So these things are there, you already use this in many applications, right? In Azure, also in Gmail also, there are different applications where you have a second layer of this authentication. So this multi-factor authentication works require two or more of the following authentication methods, that is password, or it's some phone, that this is the phone, you have a certain number, so your number is tied with that application, so you will be getting a password there, or your biometrics like fingerprint or face scan. So there should be at least two things for your authentication purpose if you're using Azure AD multi-factor authentication. The next one is conditional access policies. So what is this? Means it is like an if then statements. So if an user want to access a resource, means suppose here an example is given, it's a picture from Microsoft site. So payroll manager wants to access the payroll application and is required to do multi-factor authentication. So only credentials will not work, he has to use a second layer of authentication. Okay, so what is the thing? Means suppose the user is accessing from a specific location, or some type of other types of device, or some applications which are not expected that should be present, or some real time risk that sign in behavior is risky, or anything, the sessions are monitored at time. So in those scenarios, this conditional access will come into place, and a second layer of authentication will be required. That is, you can see that based on that, a multi-factor authentication is required, or a direct access can be given, or you will be blocked. Those will be decided based on these conditional access policies. It's like an if then and statements. So if an user is in a specific location, he is allowed because it is normal for him, because at times you will be getting some notification in your mail also, right? You have been signed in from another device, those things comes, right? So it is almost these functionalities are like that, this type of extra layer of security is there for accessing these resources. So those two were there. Now as your governance strategies, so you need to maintain some governance, right? Each user cannot have access to everything. So as your role based access control is very important for that. Different roles are present, so different roles have different access levels, access permissions. So based on that, a user is provided a role, and once the role is assigned to him, he can do his activities whatever is allowed for that role. Okay, so Azure role based access control helps you manage who has access to Azure resources, what they can do with those resources, and what areas they have access to. Role assignment has three elements actually. One is security principle. Security principle, what does it represent? So it can be an user, it can be an user group, a set of users. Suppose a set of people who is working in an admin department in a organization, so that is an admin group, you can mention like that. uh, as per the service principle is the identity of an application instance. So it will be defining who can access the application, what resources the application can access. And manage identities, internally it will be creating a service principle, which is that identity of that application instance, but this expiration, token rotation, and other things will be taken care automatically. Okay, so there are four levels on which you can give access. One is user, one is user group, one is service principle, one is managed identity. So what you will give, that is the role. So what is role definition? It's a collection of permission, right? It's typically just called a role, A role definition lists the actions that can be performed, such as read, write, or delete. You can see from this, again, this picture from Microsoft side, that there is owner, contributor, reader, and other roles are there. So for contributor, what actions he can take? Star means he can do anything. Not actions, that delete, write, action, these things. And there are different other properties as well, which are there for this contributor. So these things you need to understand, that what does contributor role can do, or reader role can do. Based on that, you can give access. So here are few roles you can check from this link in details. It is present here. From here you can go and check that what type of role has what type of description. And if I go to the Azure portal, so here also, suppose I am in a storage account, right? This is a storage account. I need to go to access control. So here access control, you can see different role related assignments, check access, those things are there. So if I need to add an user who will have some sort of permissions over this storage account, I will be going and adding a role assignment. So you can see here different types of role are already there. So you need to select one. Suppose I select contributor. So what contributor can do? Grants full access to manage all resources, but do not allow you to assign roles to Azure RBAC, manage assignments in Azure Blueprints, or share image galleries. And owner is, he has all all access. So you select this, you select next. From here you can select the person whom you want to give access to that. Based on that all, there are set of number of users are coming up. So you can just select from there, it will be selected here, and you can select and just give that access to him. You can give it for all the resources. For VM as well, there is an access control. So whenever you need to give some role based access, you go to access control, and from here you just give a role assignment. Okay. So these things you can check that which role does what. So now next is, what is the scope? Scope means on which you will be giving the access, on a management group, subscription, resource group, or resource. So you have, you, if you remember the hierarchy, first management group come, then subscription, resource group, and resource. So suppose a resource group is given an owner role on a storage account. So where it's these things you can maintain from here, right? And if you see by this picture again from Microsoft side, there is what is what is here, you can understand. So there is a marketing group who will have a contributor role on this pharma sales resource group. Simple, right? So it can be an user having a contributor role on this pharma sales resource group. That can also be a possibility. So from here you can understand that how this role based access control actually works. Okay, so it's a very easy thing to understand from this picture. So beautiful picture from Microsoft. So you can easily understand what is exactly happening. So that was resource group. So now we are coming to resource lock. This is another sort of protection. So what resource lock does, that it protects from being accidentally deleted or changed. A resource lock prevents resources from being accidentally deleted or changed. So suppose you do not want a resource to get deleted, you can lock it. You can lock it to a subscription, a resource group, or individual resource level. So two types of locks are there. Cannot delete means you can understand that authorized people can read but cannot delete. And read only means you can only read the resource. Okay. So suppose let me go to the screen. Here there is this VM. If you go to this lock, I have already added this two logs from here. Okay, you can add the logs from here. There are two types, read only and delete. So you need to give a name to the log, and then you will just add, it will get add here. So how is this working? So if you go to this virtual machine, and if I delete this from here, you see the scope cannot perform delete operation because following scopes are locked. So you cannot delete this resource because that delete lock is there. Okay. And now there was another thing, read only. lock was there. So suppose if I go to this size for this virtual machine and want to resize to another disk, so if I click the resize, again I will be getting this message that is disabled and therefore marked as read only. You cannot perform any write actions to this subscription until it is re-enabled. So this type of locks you can provide. So if I go and delete these two locks, the virtual machine will be deleted. Let me delete these two from here. And now let me check if I can change the disk size. I think it will be need to be saved somewhere. So there is something is happening. So you can check that separately. It is refreshed. There is no lock. There's something is happening. So I need to check. If you go to this VM, then you will be having this delete option again and can delete from here. So in this way the locks are working. Okay. So now it's coming to Azure policy. So Azure policy is a service in Azure that enables you to create, assign and manage policies that control or audit your resources. So policy, you understand that there are some policies defined that you need to be abide by these policies. So this type of inbuilt policies and different things are defined in Azure as well. So they can force different rules across all of your resource configurations. Okay, so suppose you can only create some resource on a specific location. Apart from that you are not allowed to create. So this I have created one. Let me go to policy. Okay, first of all, this is the policy page. You can go from here. This is the policy page. If you search by policy, here are definitions. These are all already provided inbuilt policies present here. So I've already created one policy called location policy. This will only allow some resources to get created in central US only. So I will show you in a demo shortly. And assignment is that these two assignments are done. This is done to a resource group. So you can see that central US is only allowed. Okay. So now if I go to this one, this is respect to this resource group, RG location policy test. So you can see that if I have selected East US, it is telling that policy validation error. Is there is a policy enforcement value does not meet requirement. So if I change this to central US, this error will be gone. Okay, and if I again change that to East US, the error should be again coming. So this policy is tied with this resource group. Okay, so in this way you can provide some policies on the resources for governance purpose. Okay, so policy enables you to define both individual policies and group of related policies known as initiatives. So if I go to this policy page, there also you can create some initiative. Okay, I haven't created any initiative as of now. From here you can go and create some initiative. So it's a set of policies. And Azure policy comes with built-in policy and initiative definition for storage, networking, compute, security center and monitoring. So you can see you already have some inbuilt policies here. So from here you can check what it does. And Azure policy evaluates your resources and highlights resources that aren't compliant with the policies you have created. So if I again go there, assignments, overview, you can see here some graphs are displayed, means 30 non-compliant, 2 compliant. So allowed location is compliant as of now. This is the default policy which was created. If you go inside this, you can see that what are the things which are non-compliant here. Okay, so in this way you can define different policies based on, means whatever you want to target a specific resource or resource group or a subscription. Based on that you can create different policies. So for example, I have already shown you allowed locations policy define this and specifies the location into which all resources must be deployed. If a different location is chosen, deployment will fail, which we already just saw. So these are just a screenshot, the definitions for predefined policies. This is that I have already displayed. Next come the Azure Blueprint. So what is Blueprint? So Blueprint allows an engineer or an architect to sketch a project design parameters, right? So whenever an engineer or architect work, they first create a blueprint of the actual project, right? So similarly, here Azure Blueprint enables cloud architects and central information technology groups to define a repeatable set of Azure resources that implements and adhere to their organization standard patterns and requirement. So you can create one blueprint and can just use it on an organization basis, where you can just reuse the whatever it is defined in that blueprint to maintain consistency and compliance. And you can also pass parameters, so you can reuse them at different positions. Okay, so it helps the development teams to rapidly build and deploy new environments with the knowledge that they are building within the organizational compliance. So you will be defining a blueprint as per the organization compliance, and the development team will be reusing that, so it will be much more quicker and easier to deploy new environments. And this can also be versioned. So versioning enables you to track and comment on changes to your blueprint. And what is the difference with Azure policy? Azure policy is configured for each new subscription, but Blueprint, you can define a repeatable set of governance tools and the resources that your organization requires for multiple subscriptions. So you can visit this link. I will not be giving a demo to Azure Blueprint because for the interest of time, I will not be giving this demo. You can check from here that how it works. For exam purpose, you do not need to understand in much detail. You only need to understand what is the scenario for which you will be using what. So suppose a scenario comes up that you need to reuse this set of Azure resources and for this policy purpose, so you can mention Azure Blueprint there. So you need to understand exactly that what these services are only for this exam. So yes, you can go from here and mention as Blueprint. So you will be going to this page, and if you click create, so you already have some samples and you also have some blank blueprint, so you can use any of them. So I've only given the screenshot for that. Okay, so now Azure privacy compliance and data protection standards. So this section you only need to understand that what actually these things do. Actually there is nothing demo, so different things are provided by Microsoft at different places. You need to understand which thing you should access to know a specific set of information. So Microsoft privacy statement explains what personal data Microsoft collects, how it is used, and for what purpose. It covers all of Microsoft services, websites, apps, software, servers, and devices, starting from the enterprise and server products to devices that you use in your home to software and the student use at school. So this is the link. Here you will be getting all those details. You do not, for this examination purpose, you do not need to understand each and everything. You can go through them to see that what is written, but there might be some questions coming up that you which is the thing which explains personal data Microsoft collects. So that time you need to remember and understand that Microsoft privacy statement is the place which explains the personal data Microsoft collects and how it is used and for what purpose. So this thing you have to remember. Second comes online services terms. So it is a legal agreement between Microsoft and the customer. The OST details the obligations for both parties with respect to processing and security of customer data and personal data. So again, you need to remember that what is the purpose of online service terms. So here is again this link. So everything is there. So you can go through them if you want. But for exam purpose, you need to understand that what is the exact thing you will be getting when you are accessing these online service terms. Data protection addendum, it defines the data processing and security terms for online services. So whether it is compliance with law, disclosure of process data, data security, data transfer, retention and deletion, all those details will be present here in the data protection addendum. So if some questions come on basis of this, you need to know that this is the one where all these are present. Okay, so here everything is there. You can browse from here and go through them if you want. There is another one, Trust Center, which showcases Microsoft's principle for maintaining data integrity in the cloud and how Microsoft implements and supports security, privacy, compliance, and transparency. It's an important part of Microsoft's Trusted Cloud initiative and provides support and resources for legal and compliance community. It provides in-depth information about security, privacy, compliance offerings, policies, features, and practices across Microsoft Cloud products. Additional resources for each topic, links to security, privacy, compliance, blogs, and upcoming events. So if a question comes that where in-depth information about security, privacy, compliance offerings are there, you can mention Trust Center. So you need to actually differentiate, means you need to understand that how these things are different, because this is also privacy statement, it is having some personal data, this is also having some legal agreement, this is also having something related to data, and this is also having something related to information security. So that minute details you need to understand for answering the questions. Next is Azure compliance documentation. So it's provides you detailed documentation about legal and regulatory standards and compliance on Azure based on these categories: global, US government, financial services, health, media and manufacturing, and regional. You again get this all details from this link. Here everything is there, what are the compliance offerings. Next is Azure government. So Azure government is a separate instance of the Microsoft Azure service, and it addresses the security and compliance needs of US federal agencies, state and local governments, and their solution providers. So if something comes up that means what is Azure government, you need to know to answer this. Means suppose it comes up that what is that thing which addresses the security and compliance needs of US federal agencies. So you need to know that this is the Azure government. Okay, so you can select from here as well this link. So this link will open, you can check here. The next is Azure China 21 via net. So this is operated by 21 via net, and it's a physically separated instance of cloud services located in China. So it's an independently operated and transacted by Shanghai Blue Cloud Technology, that is 21 via net. And this is done separately because there is a term mentioned here that China telecommunication regulation of provider of cloud services, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service must have value added telecom permits. So only locally registered companies with less than 50% foreign investment qualify for these permits. So if something comes up that what is corresponding to China or how Azure works, so you know that Azure China 21 VNet is there. So this thing you have to remember. So you can again go to that link. So now it's the coming up as a cost management and service level agreements. So what is total cost of ownership calculator? So the TCO calculator helps you estimate the cost savings of operating your solution on Azure over time instead of you in your premises on premises data center. So it will help you to calculate that if you are running some services from your on premise and you are then moving into Azure, how much savings you are making. So if I go to this here, I've already opened this one. Okay, you need to select define different workloads here. You can mention different servers, different environments, different operating system, different system license, everything, number of servers, what is the cost, what is the RAM, is there any GPU or not for these servers, their database, what type of database is it an enterprise or standard, what is the operating system, everything you can select whatever is currently present in your on premise, and can check that how much cost Azure can save. For storage also you can mention, for network also. If you select next, you will be also can provide some extra informations that whether you are needing the geo redundant, because on premise it is very difficult for this type of services, geo redundant storage and those things, electricity cost, storage cost, everything you will be providing. And if you select next, you can see that over 3 years with Microsoft Azure, your estimated cost savings could be this one. So this is the different. If you use Microsoft Azure for 3 years, so this is the difference. If you use in the your on premise, this much savings you can make. You can change the parameter here, 1 year, 5 years. From this you can understand. So whenever you are moving into cloud from your on premise, you can check from here that how much savings you will be making if you are using this type of infrastructure in cloud. And the next one is service level agreements. So it's an SLA. It's a formal agreement between a service company and the customer. So for Azure, the agreement defines the performance standards and Microsoft commits for you. So if the SLA is not met, there are some service credits. Okay. So this service credit is a percentage of fees you paid that are credited back to you according to the claim approval process for the time duration when the service is unavailable. So Microsoft provide different SLAs for different services. If you remember that Cosmos DB, there was an SLA of 99.99 something percentage. So if that is not met, so there are some service credit is there. It is a percentage of fees that you paid. You can claim that. Okay. So if the service is not available for a specific amount of time, so you need to file a claim with Microsoft to receive a service credit based on the timeline specified in SLA. So for SLA, you can check from here that for different services, what is the SLA. You can get full details here. This number of services are there. For this, there are different sort of SLAs. So this thing is there. So now I will moving into Azure DevOps. I didn't cover it yesterday, so I will be covering it today only. So Azure DevOps provides developer services for allowing teams to plan work, collaborate on code development, and build and deploy applications. Azure DevOps provide integrated features that you can access through your web browser or IDE client. You can use one or more of the following standalone services based on your business needs. Okay, so what is Azure DevOps? Let us first check from here. This is Azure DevOps. I am opening it using internet through a browser. It is mentioned here, right? You can access it through your web browser or IDE client. So now if I'm opening for the first time, this section will be blank. I have to create a new project. Suppose in our organization, we are working on a project. So for that, we will be creating a new project here and we will mentioning the details of the project here. So after I create a new project, this type of projects will get created. So we will be required to enter into this. Okay, so this is a summary of this project will come up with additional descriptions you can provide. So next is Azure repos. Provide you Git repositories or team foundation version. So when you are developing some code, it is in your local, right? So you need to push that into somewhere. So you will be pushing that into code repository. So you will be required to push that into code repository like Git repository, Steam Foundation. They are different, right? So here there are few different things. So if I go into repos, you can see already I have created one. Okay. And if you want, you can create some file folders, those things as well. And you can also create from here new repository. So if you are creating new repository, you will be having option of Git or Team Foundation. So you can select any one of them. So when you will be pushing the code, you will be committing it from your end. Okay, so I have added one thing. I've committed this. So this is the thing I have committed. This is a readme file. So the process is like that. Suppose there are 5 developers working. They are working on their local machine but is linked to their own branches. Okay, it is not the main branch where the final code will be there. So you will be working on your own branch, you will be pushing that to your own branch, you will be asking for someone to review it. If we review it and give a go, then that will be pushed into the main branch. Okay, so in this way it actually works. So Azure repo is actually that repository where it will be maintaining your code. It is the source control of your code. So you need to understand what is Azure repos. Azure pipelines, it will be used to build and release services to support continuous integration and delivery of your application. So what is continuous integration and delivery? So it is called CI/CD. So whenever you are developing some new code, it is getting merged somewhere. Okay, so the process is like that. It will be merged into the development branch first, then there will be pipelines, different pipelines. It will be again moved to another branch. There will be some testing going on and those things. If it is done from their end, again another quality check branch might be there where you will be checking each and every quality, and finally it will be moved into production. So in this way the pipelines work. So in pipelines, if you go, you can select here different environment from here, and also you can maintain different release. I haven't created anything here as of now. So different release you can create from here, what type of template you can create, what type of artifacts you need to add, what are the stages you need to mention. So different things you can create using pipelines. So for this exam you do not need to go into that much detail. You can remember that Azure pipelines is used for build and release services to continuous support, continuous integration and delivery of applications. So repos is used for code source control. This is used for release purposes. What does Azure board does? It delivers a suite of agile tools to support planning and tracking work, code defects, and issues using Kanban and Scrum methods. There are different methods such as Kanban and Scrum. You can go through them. It's not required for this exam. So if you go to boards, I've already created few things like this. So if you go to this board, you can see that you can create different items. Suppose I can create task 3. Okay, so these items at the beginning of work, different sprints are maintained. Means normally it depends on the organization and the customer that how many weeks it will take for a sprint. Because in a sprint, a set of functionalities is being deployed to production. So normally different tasks are being created and are created in this board. Okay, so here all these are new tasks. So if somebody is starting with this task, you will be moving to here. So it is currently ongoing doing. Okay, and you can assign to someone else. So currently only these two users are there, so he will get an email for that. So after this is done completely, you can move here. So it is done. So here it is maintained that what are the tasks present and how this total sprint cycle goes on. In this way you can track each and everything, that what are deployed and what are those things. So if you go to view as backlog, in backlog normally what are the things pending are present. You can see task 1 and task 2. Okay, because these are not yet started. So you can understand how this board works. So in sprint you can create some different sprints. Okay, so here you can see for sprint 1 I have created all these tasks. If you can create a new sprint, you can create here. So in this way you will be moving these tasks. Okay, so this is created, this is subtask, this is again it is doing, it is done. So in this way you can create new task and you can create new work item. Based on that you can create these things. You can create new item here as well. It is a very good thing using which you can maintain each and everything what you need to deliver. And if anything is missed, you can have that in your backlog so that you do not miss any functionality for delivery. Okay, so after Azure board there is Azure test plans. So Azure test plans, there is no test plans as of now. So what Azure Test Plan does is provide several tools to test your apps, including manual, exploratory testing, and continuous testing. So here you can provide different sort of testing activities and can track what are the progresses and what are the critical insights. From here you can check test plans, progress report, what are the test runs has been done. From here you can check each and everything. Okay. So currently nothing is there because I haven't done anything with this. And finally, is Azure Artifacts. It's allow your team to share packages such as Maven, NPM, NuGet, and more from public and private sources, and integrate package sharing into your pipelines. So whenever you will be running some pipelines, you need to mention some artifacts, right? So there will be some provisions to mention some artifacts. So you can mention those things. Yes, you can see there are add an artifact is there. So you can mention here And what is artifact? It allows team to share packages such as Maven, npm, NuGet, those things. And finally, what is Git? I've already mentioned it's a version control system. So it's used now everywhere, actually, most of the places. So it's a distributed version control system, meaning that your local copy of the code is a complete version control repository. So something happened to you locally, it is already present in the Git. So these fully functional local repositories make it easy to work offline or remotely. You commit your work locally and then sync your copy of the repository with the copy to the server. So in this way, the Git works. So everything is taken from this Microsoft documentation, as I told you, and that was the thing for this session. I've tried to cover as much as possible, but if still you think that you need to go into depth, you can check from the Microsoft documentation, and you can also ask me in my LinkedIn. I have already mentioned the LinkedIn profile. So if there is any question, you can ask. So it's done from my end today.
So, guys, I think there is some kind of technical glitch from our mentor side. So, if till the time he joins back, if
No, actually, Varun, it's done from my end. I have covered all the topics. So I was thinking that if somebody has any questions or not.
exactly. I'm sorry, sir. I was saying that only. So, guys, if you have any other queries, you can please put them down in the comment section, or else we are good to wrap up with the boot camp. And many of the students in the comments are asking about attendance links, so do not worry about the attendance and all. Just mainly focus on the learning, and then attendance in each and everything will be done. So if you have any, someone is asking, could you please share the LinkedIn profile? Just give me a second, I'll share the LinkedIn profile of our mentor. So I have shared the LinkedIn profile of our mentor, and there's an announcement for you all that tomorrow you are going to have your quiz. You all will be notified when you are having going to have the quiz. By the time, get ready, revise the concepts. Sorry, link attendance. And for attendance, I'm sharing you a Google form. Please fill that out to get your attendance. Just give me a sec. Let me put that down. So yeah, I have shared a Google form link. It's visible on your screen as well. You can just go and fill out this form. This is the attendance form. so you can go and fill that out. Okay, so there's some another announcement as well. Please stay tuned with us.
So, hello guys, I hope you all are doing good, and thank you, Saurav sir, for joining in for the session. It was really a great pleasure to have you here with for the 3 days boot camp. The boot camp was very insightful about AZ900, and we are really looking forward for you to contribute more in the community. And so, announcement goes like this. So, guys, multiple colleges has taken participation in this boot camp. So, this is an announcement for Saraswati College. So those who are from Saraswati College, we are going to have a quiz at 7 p.m. today. And guys, those for every college will be launching a mailer. So keep checking your mail, check your time slot, and you have to join the Discord server actively. Please do not play the quiz in another time slot, because if you will play use another time slot, then if you will win, then also you are not going to get the prizes. So only play in your time slots. So we will be provide you all the details to your mail when you have to join the session, join the Discord server for the quiz. Okay, so Tanisha, what doubt day 2 भेजा है आपने? So see, we are going to send a mailer right now. So we will send the mailer right now. So all the mailers that we have sent before, please do not reply right now. I'll send a mailer again to all the folks, and you will be get notified about your quiz slots. Okay. So here is the Discord server link. Let me share it again. Just a second. So guys, those who are saying send us for attendance, it's for day 2. No worries, you can just join this one also. You can fill your attendance on this. Okay. Okay, you can also fill the attendance. Just try filling in it in incognito mode. For those who are in other countries like Kenya, will be eligible for prizes. So yeah, Brian, we won't be helping you in the shipping charges and all these things. It will create a mess, because Microsoft doesn't allow us right now to ship the swags to other countries. We'll definitely look out for some swags if we can ship you, like if we can provide you some, if you win the quiz, so we can provide you some slots, Azure portal passes. So we'll look into this if you win the prizes. In future, we'll be definitely looking for attendance link is not working for day 3. Just a second, I'm making giving you the one. Just a second, guys. So though some are having okay, so some are having doubts about the Discord server link, how they have to participate in the quiz. So here is the Discord server link. You have to join this Discord server, and after joining, we will schedule your time slot, and you have to participate in that time slot. The quiz will be of 5 minutes approximately. It will contain 10 questions from the Azure, Microsoft Azure, that is already covered by Saurav sir, and you just have to participate those questions. Okay, participate in that quiz, and there will be some basic questions from Microsoft Azure, so you can get a chance to win the Azure swags. Okay. So don't worry, guys, if the attendance link is not working, I'll send install an app. So don't install any app. See, I'm going to share the attendance link in your mail too. So check out your mail in 10 minutes. I'm sending the emails to you all through your mail. Okay. So you will be getting the attendance link for today through your mail. So please check your mails for attendance link and the Discord server update. Okay. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining in. If someone has any doubts about the bootcamp or anything, you can just ping us, reach us out, and we have already shared the LinkedIn profile or of our speaker. If you have any doubts or anything related to Microsoft Azure, you can drop any of us in the Discord server. You can tag us any of us in the Discord server, or you can directly reach out to the speaker also. They will try to curate your query in the best way possible. So thank you guys, thank you for joining in. It was really nice having you all. I hope you got the beautiful insights about Microsoft Azure and Microsoft Azure certification AZ900. So okay, so some are having doubts about certification vouchers. So you will be getting, for certification vouchers, you have to join Discord server, and there is a there is a channel named certification #AZ certification. You have to go to that server. There are certain steps and one video also for your reference. So you can check that out video, so that you can okay, so join Discord server, you will be getting everything. Okay, so you have to check out hashtag AZ certifications. So for certification vouchers, you have to check out this one. Okay, so thank you guys, thank you for joining in, thank you sir for coming
Yeah,
and facilitating
thanks
the
a lot.
students.
Yeah,
Yes sir,
thank you
thank you
all for
sir.
joining. It was a very good session, and thank you Azure developer community for inviting me. So looking forward towards more such session. Thank you. Yeah,
Yes, yes sir, thank you sir, have a nice day everyone, thank you.
yeah. Bye.